Now that I've ground a decent edge onto this, I'm going to need the body tube, the nose cone, and the little ring we've been working on. First off, let's be sure that it still fits in here. We're also going to want to grab one of our rocket motors, and we're going to slide it into both ends. And be sure that it slides in easily into both ends. If there's one end that the rocket motor will not slide into, but your cap will, that's the end we need to use for the cap. But in our case, our rocket motor slid in easily into both, so it doesn't matter. We're going to tuck this inside here a little bit to make my life kind of a little easy. And we're going to, well, just check to be sure it kind of slides together and can be made to look kind of straight. If your nose cone won't line up too terribly straight, you might need to trim a little bit off the side of it, which in my case I actually kind of do, because I guess I didn't do a very good job of that earlier. And we'll put it back on the retainer and be sure it lines up, which it does this time. It actually lines up really well. And grab my sticky tool, pull this thing back out. And now I'm going to take my white glue, go ahead and put a bead of it around the top, kind of a small bead. You don't need to put a lot of glue around the top of this. The top, of course, being the part that we just ground the angle onto. Put this to the side. We're going to take our nose cone and stick it in. And run your finger around the outside to pick up the excess glue, because we really don't want that excess glue there. Remember, that is part of the surface that needs to fit flush up against the body tube. So once we have this in here, it's not too terribly straight right now. I'm going to put this inside the body tube. As you see, I'm kind of having a little bit of difficulty getting in here, and that's because the nose cone has forced it to be out of round. And now that I have that back in, the body tube is making it be rounder. And I can push it down most of the way, not all the way to where you touch the glue, but just close enough that you can look at it and spin it in your fingers and kind of just close one eye and be sure that the nose cone is fairly straight pointing up. It doesn't need to be exact. If it's not going to really hurt anything. But the straighter it is, the better. In this case, it seems to be fairly straight. And then we're going to set this aside, sitting straight up to dry. We're going to need our string. And we're also going to have handy our plastic bag. We're going to just measure out probably around a foot, maybe foot and a half. We can trim it down later of string and set this aside. And then we're also going to grab our plastic bag, which is making lots of noise. This one's going to use it for. And I'm going to cut out of it. This one's a fairly large plastic bag. Cutting is a little too big. Maybe about a 1-inch wide strip. That will become our streamer later. This is much easier to do with the box cutter than it is with scissors, that's for sure. It needs to be probably about a foot long, maybe a foot and a half. Just somewhere in that range. We're actually using a streamer instead of a parachute because the rocket is so light, it really doesn't need a parachute. The additional drag from the streamer once the ejection charge goes off will sufficiently slow it down. We're going to want the cone and the body and the string. And over here on our sheet we have a couple of things called chute anchors. There are 4 of them. We will need 2 of them. Like I said earlier, there's enough things on the sheet to do 2 rockets or to mess up everything a couple different times. So I'm going to cut both of these out. They kind of have an interesting look to them. You hopefully can see it in the video. To where there's a lot of lines on them. You're not going to cut on all the lines. So what we're going to do is cut on the outside rectangle, squectangle, and then you'll see there's 2 diagonal lines. We're going to cut along the diagonal lines, end up with 2 trapezoidal shapes, and we'll need 2 of these. Okay, and then what we're going to do is you need your white glue. I'm going to fold ahead of time on the black lines. The first, the narrowest point folds down, and then the next point folds down as well. And they fold into each other. I didn't finish trimming this, 1 second. Okay, so then going to take some glue. This, you will get glue on your fingers. Also, before we get started, going to want to have the ballpoint pen handy, and you will want to have the cap for the ballpoint pen as well. So I'm going to put some glue in the middle of this. You use lots of glue for this. You can't really use too much. If you use too much, it squeezes out onto your fingers, and that's an okay thing. So we put it in glue. We put the end of the string into the glue, and the very top one folds down over the string. And then I'm going to put some glue on top of the part I just fold down and on the bottom. And then fold it again on the third line. So it kind of forms a weird shape like that. Then I'm going to put glue on both sides of it just because I like getting glue everywhere and because it actually needs it. So this piece of paper should become very saturated with glue. It should become soggy. What I'm going to do is fold up both edges of it so it kind of forms a U in shape. And then rinse off some of my fingers real quick on the rag. Grab the body tube. Be sure this is on the end that is not the motor side. This needs to be the side for the nose cone. I'm going to gently put it inside, not up against a wall yet. We're going to take our ballpoint pen and we're going to push it down. And we need to push it down far enough that the nose can actually fit inside it. So it has to go down, you know, at least an inch, inch and a half, 2 inches, somewhere in that territory. And once we push it down that far, we're going to go ahead and run our pen over our rag a little bit so there's a little bit of water on it. And then we're going to put the pen down in and we're going to mash it up against the side. But you can't really see what I'm doing here, so I've mashed that down. But basically what we did is, like here is a rough of the hole, and here's the piece of paper folded down in. With the string in it, we put it down in, and then we come along with our pen and we're mashing it against the side so that it sticks to the side. You might need to roll it some, and it'll basically form up against the side of it and the string will come up, and that'll be the anchor for our parachute. In this case it's the streamer, and we're also going to do this, the second anchor goes inside the nose cone, so we're going to do that on this side as well. I'm going to take the other part of the string, and then the other anchor, put some glue in the same way that we did. Put the glue in the middle, put the string in. I'm going to fold the top part down again. I'm going to add more glue here, all over the place glue. Fold it again. Trying to keep it together while I'm doing this. Add more glue to the outside again. It's kind of, you're sort of massaging it with your fingers so the glue soaks in and gets everywhere. You really want the glue to get everywhere. Fold it into the W again, excuse me, the U again. It does look a little like a W. And then we're going to put it inside, but it's really, really narrow on the inside of here. And this is why the pin cap can be handy. So we'll use the little plastic edge to push it down in there. You can't really push it too far. You just wanted to keep it inside this area. It doesn't need to go too far in. And we're going to use the pin cap to push it up against the side. In the same way that we push that one up against the side so that it's form-fitted to the wall. Of course, there should be the bulge in the center for the string. And now that those are both sitting there, we need to let them sit and dry. These are two parts that will take a while to dry.